Hello and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. This one is team selection for Game Week 26. So we'll have a look at how my team's lined up for Game Week 26, what transfer plans I've got, but before all that we will have a look at how I got on in Game Week 25. So it was a good one, 109 points in total, meaning I moved from 49k to 29k, so pretty big jump, which I'm glad about because obviously I've got the assistant manager chip active on slot. I activated that in Game Week 24, kept it on slot for Game Week 25. 13 points, potentially slightly disappointing, given that if he did beat Aston Villa, it would have been significantly more, but can't really complain. Verbruggen though, 10 points. Last week I said how I was absolutely fed up with Verbruggen, but this is quite an advertisement for not doing rotating goalkeepers, because if I had another 4.5 million goalkeeper this week, or even if Fabianski was fit and was kind of ready to play, although actually I think he is fit, I think he's just not preferred at the moment, but I would have played him because he had Brentford at home. West Ham lost 1-0, Fabianski would have scored 2 points. Because Verbruggen had Chelsea. Obviously Chelsea's a pretty bad fixture, so I would have benched Verbruggen this week. A lot of people did bench Verbruggen this week, people that had Flecken maybe, who also did well. But other keepers as well. Keeper points can be so completely random. Like Verbruggen got an assist and a clean sheet, whereas last week in arguably a better fixture, he got -1 points. So I just think choose a goalkeeper and just stick with that goalkeeper. Play them in the fixtures that aren't good, play them in the fixtures that are good, because in the fixtures that aren't so good as well, this wasn't the case for Verbruggen against Chelsea, but a lot of teams or goalkeepers from bad teams, in the terrible fixtures, they'll get a lot of save points because a lot of shots will be coming at them. So there's points regardless. I just think that rotating goalkeepers is not a thing. Verbruggen, glad I kept you, although last week I was getting fed up with you. So yeah, I've got no plans to move him on until wildcard. I think I said that last week, to be honest. I just don't like using goalkeeper transfers, just because I think transfers are worth so much that why would I use it on a terrible position like a goalkeeper? Anyway, Castan 2 points, Munoz 2 points, not much to say about those guys. Trent 13 points. He got the clean sheet in the first game because he came off after 60 minutes but before Wolves scored the goal, and then he obviously scored in the game against Aston Villa, so 13 points is very nice from him. To be honest, my gains were only really from 3 players. It was from Trent, Verbruggen and Watkins. Salah captain, obviously. That was, some people triple captained him. Everyone else captained him, so it didn't really matter that much what points he scored because I wasn't going to gain or lose from it regardless. Obviously, I did gain from slot as well, actually. Mbeumo, 3 points. Not great, although he was very involved. I'm not too worried about. I've seen a lot of people suggesting that he was not involved attacking wise at all. I completely disagree. I think he's fine. Semenyo, 4 points. He was really unlucky not to come away with more from that game. He was involved in every single thing that Bournemouth did going forward. He had a fantastic game. So really glad I've got him. Palmer, 2 points. Not ideal. Chelsea haven't looked good in the recent weeks, to be honest. They haven't looked good for a few weeks now, but that was probably their worst performance. And Palmer himself didn't look great. It looked like he was playing as sort of a false 9 with Nkunku just behind. Not sure that's great for Palmer, to be honest, but we'll see what happens in the Villa game this week. Then Morgan Rogers, he got really unlucky in that first game as well. He could have come away with so many points from that first game against Ipswich, but the goalkeeper played an absolute worldie of a game, to be fair. So Rodgers comes away with 4 points. Slightly annoying though, because I bought Rodgers in this week. I could have gone to someone like Nwaneri. I could have gone to someone like Dango. Both of those obviously didn't double, but do play in Game Week 29. I would have saved myself a transfer there, but to be honest, Rodgers did play really well and had so many chances that I can't be that annoyed with it. Watkins 15 points, obviously buzzing with that. I was always getting Watkins for this double. I mean, we know that Watkins just gets flogged for kind of minutes regardless of whether he's an injury kind of concern or not. So yeah, happy I went with Watkins. And I kind of like his fixture this week against Chelsea as well. I don't mind that at all. So Isak 2 points, not ideal. City kind of battered Newcastle in that game, to be honest. It wasn't great. And then Beto on the bench with 8 points. The guy that just keeps on giving. Got him in last week, obviously, for his 21-point haul. Did bench him this week, which is slightly annoying, but I never really had an option to play him because I had to make a move to get a midfielder who I got Rodgers. If I got Wanyeri, if I got Dango, I was going to play them. And I was always going to get Watkins, so I was always benching him. It wasn't a tough decision or anything like that, so can't be too annoyed, but I'm glad I've got him. So that is how I got on in Game Week 25. Let's now have a look at how I'm lined up for Game Week 26 and what moves I've got planned and what I'm thinking. Right, so as you can see, I have one free transfer, 0.3 million in the bank. And in goal, I've got Verbruggen. Southampton away is a great fixture. As I mentioned earlier about keepers, I'm not moving keepers. I just don't think it's worth a transfer at the moment, or to be honest, ever. So then defenders, I've got a really tough decision on all 5 of these defenders. I think are really close. I have no idea where I'm going to land on who to play. Lewis Hall is probably the one that I'm most likely to stick with playing. I don't think I'll bench him this week. I don't own Chris Wood. I don't own any Nottingham Forest players, so there's no kind of conflicting reason to play him. I'll pretty much definitely be playing Hall. The other 4, I have no idea which 2 I'll bench. Munoz and Castan obviously play in the same game, so I'm not going to play both of them. And I'm thinking about using a transfer to move Slot to Glasner for some table bonus. If I do that, then I'll probably not play Castan and I'll probably play Munoz. Just because if I've got Glasner, there's no point in having Castan playing over Munoz. I might as well double up on that Palace fixture, but we'll talk more about that manager transfer in a bit. Mikalenko, I don't even hate that fixture with Man United at home, to be honest. Man United are just bad, so I don't really hate that. And then Trent's got Man City. It did look like Conor Bradley went off injured towards the end of the Villa game, so I think Trent will start and get the minutes. It's just whether I prefer somebody else, because obviously Man City away is not a great fixture, albeit Man City defended terribly against Real Madrid, so who knows. I'm really not sure where I'm going to land on these defenders, but let's move on to the midfielders now. So this, I can't see this kind of changing. I highly doubt I'm going to make a transfer here. I've got Mbeumo with Leicester away, fantastic fixture. I've got Semenyo of Wolves at home, fantastic fixture. Salah with City away, actually an okay fixture, and Salah's a joke. Then I've got Palmer with Villa away, not the best fixture. I don't know, it's tough with Villa actually. Villa are so hit and miss, you never know what you're going to get with them, so that could be a good fixture, it could not. Chelsea are pretty rubbish right now, but I back them to turn it round. Then I've got Rodgers on the bench, so I highly doubt I'm using a transfer on any of these midfielders. The one that I would be using it on is Rodgers. I could move Rodgers to someone like Ranieri. I could move Rodgers to Dango. I could move Rodgers to Nkunku, potentially, I think. Don't know if I can afford that, but I wouldn't do that this week anyway. So I just probably won't use my free transfer. I feel like if I sold Rodgers to someone, I'd then have a big benching issue, which I just don't need. So probably won't use a transfer there. We'll talk about that more in a second though. Then forwards wise, I've got Isak with Nottingham Forest at home. I like that fixture. I know Nottingham Forest defence is good, and Newcastle in the last game weren't great. But I think that fixture's kind of nice, and I think it's a nice way to go against these people that have Forest defenders potentially, or even Chris Wood. I've got Beto with Man United at home. I really like that. Not many people have got Beto in at the moment. Some people are considering buying him now, which is crazy when you think 2 weeks ago, when I got him in, there were people saying, like, why on earth would you have Beto in your team? Now he looks great. I've got Watkins with Chelsea at home. I don't mind that fixture one bit. Chelsea defence is not all that. I mean, on the FPL app, it's a red fixture, but I'm not fussed by that fixture one bit. I don't mind that at all. And then Slot with Man City away. Now, let's talk about captains before we talk about transfers. So, captaincy could be on quite a few players this week, honestly. Mbeumo is a great captaincy option. Salah is obviously a great captaincy option. Isak is a great option. And I don't mind Palmer, although I probably won't go Palmer. It's between those three, Isak, Salah and Mbeumo. And I have no idea where I'm going to land on that. At the moment, I've got it on Isak. Now, it depends how I want to play it. My rank is 29k, so it's pretty decent at this stage. I could play it really safe and just go with Salah, because I imagine most people will go with Salah. However, I do think this is a week to go different, given that he does play Man City. You never know what Man City you're going to get either. If we get the one that played against Real Madrid the other night, then Captain Salah looks good, because they defended horrifically. But apart from that game, they've been all right recently, so I don't mind going against it. I mean, Mbeumo has Leicester, which is a fantastic fixture. Yes, he blanked in the last game, but he was involved, so I'm not worried about that. Again, Isak blanked, but I don't think the Nottingham Forest defence is all it's cracked up to be, so I don't mind a little bit of a differential go at that either. A few people have sold Isak as well, obviously, because he's got a blank in Gameweek 29. A few people used Isak to get to Watkins, so could be slightly less owned, which means that it'll be more of a differential captaincy. So I'll be on one of them three for captain. I have no idea which one though. Right, so the next thing to talk about is transfers. Now, let me change graphic here, because these red players are the ones that blank in Game Week 29. So I don't want to use my free hit in Game Week 29, meaning I can bench 3 of these guys, obviously. And in total, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. I can bench 3, so I need to sell 4 before Game Week 29 if I want to field 11 players. Now, between now and then, I have 4 free transfers. So I've got 1 in Game Week 26, Game Week 27, Game Week 28, Game Week 29. 4 free transfers, 4 players to sell. I will likely keep Salah, because I'll want him after Game Week 29, and I've got a lot of money tied up in him. Same with Isak. I think I'll just keep Isak now, because I've got a lot of money tied up in him, and I'll want him after Game Week 29. Then I will either keep Munoz, Hall or Trent. It depends which one I think I'll want most after Game Week 29. I probably won't sell any of those 3 until Game Week 29 though. I'll probably just keep them and make the decision at the time. The guys that I am going to sell though are Rodgers and Watkins. I don't have any money tied up in them because I only bought them last week, so they will definitely be going pretty soon. Now, I kind of like Nkunku as a short-term punt, just because after this week, Chelsea have Leicester at home and Southampton at home, I think. So I quite like the Rodgers to Nkunku move. I'm not going to do it this week because 1, I'd give myself a benching headache, and 2, I'd quite like to see a bit more about how Chelsea line up, because it didn't go great the other day. So I'd like to see that. Watkins will almost definitely be going to Cunha or Marmoush. I'm thinking Cunha probably. It just depends when I get the player that when I make this move, which again I'm not going to make it this week. I don't see the point in making it this week. But the fact I've got 4 free transfers and 4 players to sell means that it's a difficult decision on what to do with Slot this week. So even though if I made manager transfer, it wouldn't be for a hit this week technically because I'd use my free transfer. It would mean that I'd need a hit later down the line to get 11 players out in game week 29. So the way I'm thinking about it is it worth taking a hit to move slot on this week? Now, there are a few options that I do kind of like. If I was going to move him on, I'd target table bonus. So I guess the most obvious manager to go for if you just want to get a manager that's going to win is probably Arteta this week. They've got West Ham at home, I think it is as well. Yeah, because Fabianski's got Arsenal away. So Arsenal at home. Arteta just seems like he's probably the most likely manager to win. But if I'm going to make a move, I want table bonus, because we saw someone like Hertzler, for example, got like 20 points against Chelsea. I want something like that, or a chance of that. So what we'll have a look at now is the fixtures for this week, and I'll talk through who I'm thinking about potentially moving to if I do move slot on. Okay, so on screen now are the fixtures for this week. So, like I said, something that I'm looking to target is table bonus, and there's three main teams that stick out for that. So the first one, the one that I'm least likely to go for probably, is Leicester at the top versus Brentford. Leicester, I've kind of been okay, but I really can't see them beating Brentford. I think they've got the best winning odds out of all of the teams that would have table bonus this week, but I just don't really like it that much. Another one that I'm looking at is Ipswich at home to Spurs. Now, Spurs are a weird team this season. They do well in tough games, and they do terrible in games that they should win. I mean, Leicester beat them the other week. Everton beat them the other week. They lost to Ipswich away earlier in the season. They lost to Palace at the start of the season when Palace were pretty awful. So they're really not good in these games where it's against kind of relegation teams. And Ipswich are just kind of quite good, really. I mean, Ipswich were pretty decent against Villa, especially with 10 men as well. They defended really well. So I do think that Ipswich could be an option. I could move to McKenna. And the last option, the one that most people are talking about, is Crystal Palace away at Fulham. Fulham haven't been all that recently, to be honest. I mean, they haven't been bad, but at the start of the season they were really good. Their defence was brilliant. At the moment, not so much, whereas Palace have got much better as the season has gone on. Eze's back as well. He came off the bench the other day. Mateta is firing, so I do kind of like Glasner as an option as well. I think it will be McKenna from Ipswich or Glasner from Palace if I do go for one of these. But like I say, it will be for a hit. So there is potential that I just keep slot and just hope that he beats City and gets a few points. So yeah, that is all for this week. If you like the video, do hit like, do subscribe. One thing to note is that there will be no videos for Gameweek 27. Obviously, it's a really short turnaround. The deadline is on Tuesday, and I'm away until Tuesday, so won't be able to record any videos, unfortunately. But I will be back for Gameweek 28. My likely move for Gameweek 27 anyway, I'll probably captain Palmer because he's got a lovely fixture, and my moves will be one of the ones I mentioned a minute ago. Either Rodgers out to someone like Nkunku, Nwaneri or Dango, or Watkins to Cunha. If nothing big changes between now and then, that'll be one of my moves anyway. So yeah, hope you liked the video. If you did like it, do hit like, do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.